Thank you everybody for joining us for the webinar, 6 Things to Remember When Preparing Big Data for Advanced Analytics and BI. Now I would like to introduce our presenters today. First, we have Prabith Kalathi. He is the Regional Head for Africa for Nihilent. Prabith leads the regional operations for Nihilent in Africa. He has more than 18 years of experience across various areas, including market research, consulting, sales, and business development. As a certified change practitioner and regional lead, Prabith is entrusted in enhancing the company's image in the region through building strategic relationships with clients, partners, industry stakeholders, and local, provincial, and national government representatives. Next, we have Prashant Pawar. He is a lead technology consultant in data and analytics for Nihilent. Prashant has 21 years of experience holding technology leadership positions in building enterprise-scale systems like big data processing, analytics, and architecture transformations for financial services, CPG, manufacturing, and O&G companies in the US, Europe, and India region. Next, we would like to begin this session with a poll. So the first question we have for you that we would love for you to answer is, on a level 1 to 5, what rate best describes your organization's data maturity? We have level 1, data quality is questionable and analytics are siloed. 2, some attempt to formalize information requirements. Level 3, strategy and vision formed and executives are champion of data and analytics. Level 4, data and analytics is an indispensable fuel for us. And level 5, data is central to business strategy and execution. Wonderful. And let's take a peek. Prabith, I will hand it over to you to talk about the results.
Wonderful. Thanks, Caitlin, and a very warm welcome to all of you. It's an absolute pleasure to host you on this webinar. And I'll definitely touch upon the results that we have actually seen. But for those of you who are joining us from South Africa, Sanbonani, Goeiedag, Molweni, Dumelang. I'm sure, like me, you all are listening to this webinar from the comforts of your homes with a hot cup of coffee that is going to keep you warm. We are grateful to you for taking time out of your busy schedules to participate in this webinar. We will definitely try our level best to do justice and keep this interactive as much as possible. So definitely touching upon, I think the outputs of the quick poll that we did. I think it's quite nice to see that many of you have rated your organizations on level 3 and above, which is quite nice to see. Definitely there is a lot of adoption. And I think it also paves the whole structure of our webinar very much in line with the expectations that have been actually set on this poll. So if I can request Prashant, if we can go back to the agenda, what we intend to actually cover today. So I think for all of you, we want to definitely touch briefly upon Nihilent as a company. Some of the pertinent questions that we're going to be asking today, like, are we realizing the full potential of big data and analytics? We're going to be touching upon some stats, touching upon some developments that we are experiencing and seeing. Definitely an answer we want to actually find, and something that is very, very important is technology the real biggest barrier? And Prashant's going to share some deep insights from his experience. The star of the show, which is basically the 6 data disciplines required for delivering business value. We're going to be unpacking each one of them in detail, complemented with some success stories where we have, as an organization, as a company, have applied it in real life scenarios, touching upon some of the core problems and challenges that we have experienced, which we have overcome. To wind it up with definitely a summary of the day's events, and followed up with a question and answer session where we're going to be actually taking questions from you. I think as part of the the do's and don'ts, I think Caitlin has already shared that in the Q&A session, please feel free to log your questions. Right? Yeah, Prashant, if we can jump to the next slide. Yeah. So I think, in today's session, we are going to touch upon some pertinent questions that organizations are facing today when it comes to data and analytics. And I'm sure that, you as an audience, we collectively believe that we have moved away from the argument, which basically, a few years back, which said data is a new oil. Organizations do realize the value that resides, within the vast amounts of data. And the poll results also show that there is a lot of acceptability amongst the leadership team and collectively as an organization on the value of data for that matter. I'm sure you all have been doing a lot of reading, and you come across so many instances on a daily basis whereby companies have come out and said that we have utilized data to boost operational efficiencies and have driven strategy and change, have been able to monitor customer behavior patterns better, thus able to market products better, and et cetera, et cetera. In a recently published article by Harvard Business Review, we see that 71% of global organizations predict that they are going to accelerate the investment in analytics. And we're going to be touching upon it in the subsequent slides. So the question remains why some are able to get it right and some not. We hear the good stories about organizations embracing this new wave of data-led transformation, but there are many who are not there yet. So today, we are going to make an honest attempt to share our experience in this space and share some insights with you all for what it takes to unleash the potential that resides in data. And hope at the end of the day, end of this particular webinar, there are some key takeaways for you. But before we get into the thick of the things, I thought, it's important that we take some time to, share with you who we as a company is, what Nihilent signifies, and our association with South Africa and some of the other markets in general. So to start with, we were born here in South Africa back in the year 2000. So more than 20 odd years of association with the country. We have offices right across all the major continents, including Australia, Asia, Europe, and North America. And in these 20 years, we have partnered and worked with client organizations of varying size, scale, and complexities across industry segments, including banking and financial services, insurance, healthcare, retail, oil and gas, manufacturing, public sector, services, startups, you name it. And if I can just briefly touch upon our positioning statement, Nihilent is a consulting and services company that uses a human-centered approach to problem solving and change management. And few reasons for crafting this positioning statement. And if I can just briefly touch upon, today the very existence of enterprises hinges on the ability to listen and respond continuously to the market demands. The customer is all pervasive, so taking an up-close look at the customer needs, wants, and aspirations hence become a paramount factor for being relevant. Customers who are emitting data when they engage and interact with you as a service provider, and it's how efficiently and effectively are you able to capture, process, and act on this data will definitely set you apart from the rest of the competition. So while the demand from enterprises have always been that you need to be nimble and agile, the recent developments that emanated due to the pandemic have exerted more pressure on them to be far more adaptive, far more efficient, and far more innovative in their approach to respond. So all in all, what we're basically saying is that it's a matter that we need to acknowledge that to maintain the competitiveness and to build a sustainable human connectedness with your consumers, it is important that we realize the value data plays. It's a very, very vital role that data plays. And this is exactly the theme, ladies and gentlemen, that you will see right throughout the webinar when Prashant shares his experience and how you can stand to benefit from what Nihilent has at offer. In order to definitely deliver on this promise, Nihilent, we have a bouquet of service offerings that range from business transformation consulting, where we deal with crafting and executing business strategies. We have extensive experience across various aspects of dealing with business challenges and problems. We assist our clients in digitalizing their businesses, which includes dealing with cutting-edge technologies. With the very intent, we launched a user experience laboratory at our local offices here in Johannesburg, and where we practice what we call as interaction design, which is also about quantifying human interactions. We have extensive capabilities across various aspects of data and analytics, which you will be, will getting to know more and more as we progress along the webinar. And last but not the least is where we have extensive on the back of partnership with various OEMs like so Microsofts and SAPs of the world. We help our clients to achieve their business objectives and goals. So a lot of experience that we bring to the table across various technology portfolios. So coming to this very important question, are we realizing the full potential of big data and analytics? And I'm sure you're all curious why we are dealing with it. Just to start with, this particular table, provides some very, very important statistics. So if you just take a quick glance, this is, published by New Vantage Partners back in the year 2019. Wherein the investments in big data and AI, we are seeing that there is a tremendous uptake. So especially when it comes to investments that demand more than, let's say, $500 million worth of initiatives or projects that are being run, compared to 2018 to 2019, you see a significant jump. And the same you also see in the $50 million to $500 million range as well. Now, while we look at this particular data, it's also important to look at some very critical stats, which tells a very contrasting story. That why 52% of firms only believe, and believe quote unquote, that they are competing on data and analytics. It's only 31% of firms that they believe they have been able to create a data-driven organization, and it's only 38% of firms say that they have not been able to receive measurable results from big data and AI initiatives. And last but not the least, the last data, which is very, very important, is that 55% of data collected by companies is never used. So when we look at these particular data, and we actually talk with market participants, research firms, companies, our clients, prospects, many a times we come across various feelings. The clients are actually sharing various why they feel that they have not been able to successful. They have invested a lot in technology, in data infrastructure, data engineering related initiatives, but they have not been able to get the benefits out of it. And many a times the question is it the technology, or is it not the technology, or is it something beyond? And with that very question is what I would request my fellow colleague Prashant to take over and take you through the rest of the webinar, where he's exactly going to answer some of these questions that likes of me and you have in mind. So without taking any further moment, Prashant, over to you, and carry on with the webinar, please. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Prabith, very much. Thank you. And I agree with you completely, right? That some organizations find it a bit difficult to get the value out of the investments that they are making in data. But at the same time, we have come across organizations, a lot of our customers who have been successfully using data very well. And if you look at those examples, what you definitely know from that is that technology is not the biggest barrier. There are so many technologies available for organizations to build big data platforms, do analytics, do business intelligence, get different kinds of reports. And this screen tells a lot. And even today as we speak, a lot of different technologies are evolving. They are coming to the market, and the technology landscape is actually shifting every day. And the last entire decade was actually Hadoop actually led the entire technology landscape in the last decade. But then so many different things evolved after Hadoop, right? So we have the massively parallel processing databases like Azure Synapse. We had Snowflake, we had Google BigQuery, Redshift on Amazon AWS services. We have very good, successful NoSQL databases where a lot of organizations are using these kind of databases. There are so many options in doing data integration, data transformation. So many different tools are available. So so the question is, so if technology is not the main barrier or the biggest barrier, then what is it, right? So what makes one data platform implementation more successful than the other? And if I have to summarize this, and if I have to actually look into the key differentiators between the successful implementations compared to the others, I would actually list these three things. And the first of that is the successful data platform implementations usually have a very high level of seamless integration between multiple components that make up that particular platform. And on the next slide, I will talk about the importance of the seamless integration. The second point, or the second success factor, if I look at it like that, is the successful platforms usually have a very high level of agility in data management and making the data available to the end users. And this is important because we all know that the analytics is not something that is frozen in time, and the business requirements are going to change, and therefore their requirements for analytics is going to change it is going to change continuously, and therefore the platform that we build for business intelligence or analytics, it has to be agile to basically keep on catering to the new needs that continuously evolve. And then the third success factor, in my view, is that the platform that we build it should allow self-service for the end user who is going to consume the insights and the data that we are going to create. So that has to allow self-service in all aspects. So if we do these three things, I think that's where the successful implementations they stand out in terms of when we build these platforms. So it looks like these three things look very obvious, but it is always easier said than done. And why I say so is because if you look at a typical big data and analytics platform, you will see that there are various elements that will come into play, right? Especially if you are looking at very large data, and if you have data coming from multiple different data sources, this is how it will look. Now, this diagram is a generalized diagram, just to give a sense of what comes into play for a big data or an analytics kind of a platform. So on the left-hand side, if you read from left to right, we have on the left-hand side are all the data sources, which probably are on premises in your data center. And then in order to do analytics, you have to bring the data together in one place, and that could be your central storage, like it could be a data lake storage, most probably, because if you have a variety of data like structured and unstructured, then that's what you will probably need. And then on the right, if you go to preparation and training, then that's where something you need a super efficient engine like a Spark platform or something like Databricks that will allow you to do a lot of data cleaning and data transformation. And then going right further, you have finally, once you have transformed the data, you want to store it in a data warehouse or a data mart, or feed it into your machine learning algorithms or the machine learning platform. And finally, on the right, you have actually applications that the end users are using to consume all the process data and the insights that you have generated or extracted. That's where there are going to be various applications, reporting tools like Power BI, Tableau, and Click, and also some app services will be running there to take the data. So, and then at the bottom, if you see, you are going to need something, right, to orchestrate all this moving, the data that is moving from one component to other, the data that is going back and forth. So you're going to automate all these processes, and therefore you're going to need something to orchestrate. So all in all, the platform does become complex once you start putting all these things into place. And that's where it becomes important, if you go back to those success factors, that, how do we maintain the seamless integration? Because that's important, right? So for the end users to consume the insights, to consume the data, and for the end users to actually come up with new analytics requirements and to use it, you as I said, we have to have make it easy. So therefore, for seamless integration is important, high level of agility is important, and self-service enablement is important. So these three things are something that they differentiate, as I said, the successful ones from the others. And so how do we, when the platform becomes so complex, so how do we ensure that we are able to address these three requirements or these three success factors? So for that to do that, and that's where I come over here and we say, there's 6 data disciplines that are required. If we have to address those 3 success factors, then we have to pay attention to these 6 data disciplines. And why does it not become so obvious? And that's why I want to just step back a little bit and walk you through a typical journey an organization has when building a big data platform. Usually most organizations will start with a POC, and obviously that's the right thing to do. And so for the POC, we will usually identify one or two use cases that we want to solve. We will see which data, we will manually extract the data from a few data sources. We will select some algorithms for running our models or to extract the business intelligence. We will build one or two pipelines, and then, we will actually create some output. And during the POC stage, the accuracy of our reporting or the accuracy of our algorithms is very important, and that's a time when we don't pay attention to other things because we are still in a small sandbox world, and therefore experimentation accuracy is more important than anything else, and that's how we build a POC. Now, once the POC is successful and everybody agrees that yes, this is what we are looking for, and now we want to take it out to the entire organization or the enterprise. Now, that's where when you go to the enterprise level, things start becoming a little bit complex because you are going to have many more data sources to cater to because your POC was based on a very few data sources. But at the organization level, you are going to take inputs from a lot of different data sources, which could be structured, unstructured, real-time, batch, and so on. And then in addition to that, once you get the data into a central place, it's probable that just one storage one storage method is probably not going to be sufficient for you, right? So maybe just data lake, having a data lake is not going to be sufficient. We might have to have a data warehouse or a NoSQL DB, or an RDBMS DB as well in conjunction with a data lake. And also then, if you look at it, your processing is going to, you are going to require more processing. You are going to have more ETLs to be developed in parallel, and therefore you are going to need a data orchestration engine or a data orchestration platform to basically make sure that automatically all these different ETLs and pipelines are running well in parallel. And then on the right hand side, if you see, you're not just going to have people consuming reports, right? They're going to ask for machine learning. Consumers are going to ask for advanced analytics, self-service BI. So you could end up creating a lot of more data marts as well. So once this becomes complex, so then how do you then make sure that if you go back to the three success factors, how do you make sure that that we are still agile, scalable, and we are able to give a self-service. We are able to enable users to use it as a self-service method. So to do that, I think the 6 data disciplines that I would like to discuss here today is the first one is the high speed of data acquisition and processing. So we have to remember here, right, because we're talking about big data, so big data which will be coming in gigabytes or terabytes of data. It could be coming in real time, and it will be consumed also in the downstream by many different business users, and therefore it has always been, I've seen that how fast are you able to capture the data, so which we call is the data acquisition, and how fast are we able to process that data. That's very important, so that we can actually give the insights very quickly to the end users. So that becomes a very important point for the platform success. The second one that I've seen is the metadata management, and also the data catalog that we have to build along with it. And I think it is important from 3 aspects. All right, so metadata helps us from 3 different perspectives. One is that it will help us to create very accurate reports and consistent reports, right? So if we know the metadata, so metadata is data about or information about your own data itself, right? So if we know the metadata very well, then we are actually able to check the reports, where is the data coming from? What does that particular field or that data value signify? So that's one perspective, one use of it. The second use of it is, it will allow us to find, the end user to find your data. And why it becomes important, especially in a big data platform, is because in big data platform, we end up actually collecting lots of data, thousands of data sets we will collect from our data sources on a daily basis. And it becomes very difficult for a data scientist or a data analyst who is actually going to, who wants your data, it becomes very difficult for that person to come and find the data in a large data lake or a data warehouse that you have created. And so that's the purpose that the metadata helps people to identify which data sets they want to use. So that was the second use of it. And then the third use of it is basically that it will also help you, if you combine it with other elements, it will also help you to track the data lineage as well, right? So it could be, a good example is, if you could have data where the field names are different, but they mean the same thing. So for example, if you have 20 different data sources, some data sources might be calling your date of birth as DOB as a short form, or a full form as date of birth, or some systems may just mark it as birth date. You will have different names, and you have to be able to correlate all these different fields. A good example that I remember is in an insurance sector, where policy premium is very important, and policy premium is usually the field names are different in different source systems, right? Although they probably mean the same, but they could be called as annual premium or just premium and so on. So that's how where metadata helps a lot, and that's an important aspect to remember when building a big data platform. The third one is data quality, and I think this is I think everyone is aware about that. In a sense that if we don't maintain data quality, then it becomes your system becomes, or the data platform becomes like a garbage in garbage out kind of a situation. And so maintaining data quality becomes a very important aspect. And there is a lot of different thoughts about who is responsible for data quality, right? And I actually tend to agree with people who say that data quality is the responsibility of the data owners. I tend to agree with that thought process, but I also think that the data platform that we build should allow, you should have tools for data quality management. The responsibility might be there with the data owner, but the platform still should have tools to check data quality, so that we maintain the minimum required level of data quality in the platform itself. The next important point, I think, is the master data management. It's about maintaining the master list, right? Whether it is your products or it is your vendors, your suppliers, your customers. So having a single master list across the organization, that helps to create accurate analytics, right? So that whenever two different business units, if they're creating advanced analytics or they're creating use cases, if their use cases are based on on customer lists or product lists which are different from each other, then they are going to see different results, right? So there is the consistency is not going to be there. So master data management becomes an important point for this particular, for any data platform for that matter. The next element I think important, the fifth one, is the data security and access control. I have come across so many implementations that since data security was not thought about, so there are many data owners who actually are not comfortable giving the data for this particular the central data platform that you are going to build for analytics purpose. The simple reason being, there is going to be finance related data, there is going to be HR related data, where people, those departments or those those LOBs are not going to be comfortable sharing that data if we don't give them full guarantee that the data is going to remain secure and it would be accessed only by people who are going to have the permissions or the privileges to see the data. So I think that this aspect is highly important in order to build a successful data platform. And then the last one is data lineage. More often, this gets a little bit overlooked. But at the end, what you see is when we see the consumers, the end users of data, whether they're looking at your reports or they're looking at your data mart, one thing they are always going to ask is, where is this data coming from? Where did this data reside? In which systems it was there? When was it changed? Who had changed it? So that's the history that people are going to want to know in order to check the accuracy of the reports or the accuracy of the machine learning output that we are going to create. So so data lineage is an important part. So that's why I feel that these 6 things are are important. If we have to, if we see that if we want to make our platform have the end users use our platform, so this 6 things will make it agile. You can change your platform to cater to different needs, and it is going to be it will be well integrated as well. It is going to have a lot of good security in place as well. So I think in a nutshell, these are the 6 things that I believe are the differentiators between the platforms who have seen success compared to the other ones. So having said that, I think it is a good idea probably to look at some of the examples, some of the implementations that we have done, and which of these 6 data disciplines have been applied in those particular implementations. So I have a few success stories over here. I will walk through those actually very quickly. So the first one that I have is building a data warehouse in the cloud. This was done in the Azure cloud, and this was done for a finance company. So this is a very one of the largest finance companies which actually works in the field of lending to consumers and also to organizations that deal with the digital assets and so on. So this particular business, actually, the key for this particular business is that it has first of all, it has a very large customer base, right? Currently, they are at 24 million, and they're adding a couple of million consumers or clients every year. And the business model is basically that how quickly they are able to offer a loan to a prospect, right? So that's where that is their main differentiator, and they are highly dependent on the fast evaluation of the prospect and the customer's credit worthiness. And so the platform has to cater to that kind of a speed and that kind of a scale. So if you look at in the middle, the graph that it shows, so that during a festival period, they acquire a huge number of customers during a very short period of time, like within a period of 2 to 3 weeks. That's where they acquire a large number of customers, and therefore this platform, the data platform actually has to be able to scale and scale to cater to that kind of a requirement within a very short period of time. And then the rest of the year, when the things become normal, the platform has to be able to scale down in order to save the cost. And that's the beauty of this platform that we have built, where there's a data lake, there is a data warehouse that scales up very rapidly and then scales down as well as needed. So this is the differentiator of this platform. And the success of this platform was that they started with one division. Like if you see on the right hand side, the wheel that you see, so we started with just one department called collections, right? And after a success of the collections department, then the other line of businesses were onboarded, like the loan management system, the prospect system, the risk prediction system, and all that. So these were onboarded in a phased manner, and that's how this platform has been very successful for the last 3.5 years. It has been running on the cloud. And if you look at the disciplines that we applied here, the first one was the high speed of data acquisition and processing. And we continuously work with this particular organization. Every 6 months, we review how can we improve the efficiency of processing and high speed. How can we use new technologies like Databricks, to improve the speed of processing. The data quality was highly important over here as well, because data comes from not only from the internal sources, it also comes from a lot of external data providers and partners. So data quality is a very important aspect in this particular implementation. And lastly, of course, it is the data security as well. The second example I wanted to talk about, and this is a very different example. Over here, this is an aircraft, a small aircraft manufacturing company, and we were working with them. We built a data lake, a data warehouse in the cloud for them, and we created a lot of analytics for them, which was useful for them for the operational purpose, like operational purposes like warranty analytics, maintenance, predictive maintenance, and so on. But one very different use case that we were able to build for this company was using the same data for emotional connect with the end user. So the owner of the aircraft or the pilot of the aircraft would have a connect with the aircraft itself, and that we have been able to achieve by using the IoT data that comes into the same the big data platform that we built for them. And this particular platform, from here we are able to the rest of the data gets used for operational reporting and warranty analytics, but the IoT or the sensor data we are able to immediately convert it into very valuable insights for the owner of the aircraft and the pilot of the aircraft, which they are able to see through a mobile application. So this is an example of using the same data for two different purposes. One is operational reporting, and the other is to have a connect with the customer or the end user. And again, from the data disciplines perspective, again here, high speed of data acquisition and processing was very important, so that we can get the data from the sensors, process it, check for data quality, and immediately show it to the owner on the mobile application. Master data management was another important aspect, because the data came from hundreds of different sensors from the different models that are there that the company creates, and therefore keeping a very sound master data management in place was highly important here as well. I have another example. This is about a bank, which is again one of the largest banks with 5 million customers and 1,000 branches, almost very big across the country, and they're having 45 data sources. The data was in terabytes coming from different sources, and here again the main the requirement was for the reporting at the branch level, right? So definitely they want to look at the high value customers, right? So how are the customers performing? How are the customers, especially the new customers who have signed up for the accounts, and how are they doing? What is their usage pattern, right? And how is the branch doing? So a lot of this information needed, and this information was not in one place, right? It comes from different places, different data sources, right? So in banking, if you have worked in the banking sector, you know that there are so many different core applications that are there. For ATM, there are applications. There are applications for the savings account and the gold accounts and so on. So the sources coming from different data sources would have to be on a daily basis integrated well into each other, and being able to distribute this interactive reports, drill down reports to all the branch managers across all these 1,000 branches. So I think here the most important part was the speed of data collection was not that very important, because the data gets updated once in a day. But the most important part here was the data security and access control. Because the structure of the organization is usually hierarchical in terms of the branch managers, and then they have the regional managers. So based on the role that you're playing, the kind of data that you are able to see is different for every role, and therefore data security access control was a very prime importance in building this. Again, master data management played a huge role, because the number of branches had to be the list of branches had to be maintained, the list of customers had to be unique. And lastly, it was about data lineage as well, since the data was coming from different sources and it was being processed at different levels. So giving a complete view to the end user about about how that data was being, how did the data move or change, that was very important from that perspective as well. I have, this is another case study. This is from a manufacturing domain. This is about a large manufacturer where, predicting the sales trend was the important goal over here. And why it was so? Because it had a 3-tier sales system, right? So it had the primary tier was the data sitting with the manufacturer itself, and then the secondary was the stockist, where the data their products went to the different stockists, and then the third was the tertiary level, which was the dealer level. So all this data had to be collected from the different sources that were distributed geographically. Having more than 3,000 products and having more than 5,000 secondary and tertiary dealers. So that meant a huge amount of data sitting in a very distributed fashion in different places and in different technologies, in the different database technologies. So having an ability to collect that data again into a central place and being able to then find the sales trends by connecting the dots, by connecting the data from all of these sources, right? So collect and then getting the trends by year, by growth percentage, giving the sales performance across different products, different regions, also checking whether how are we doing on the targets and so on. So these are the different elements that that were provided by building this platform. So again, this platform was also built on the cloud because of the sheer size of the data and the cloud being able to provide the scalability that is required for this kind of data processing. Here again, the important factors that led to the success was giving attention to the data security and access control. Again, then master data management was key because of the high number of products that they had. And also within the products, there was a huge hierarchy of the products. Then there was a hierarchy within the sales system, also within the marketing organization as well. There was a hierarchy, and therefore maintaining that hierarchy was important, and maintaining the security of the access control across the hierarchy was also an important factor in the success of this particular implementation. So I have another case study for which I will hand it over to Prabith to talk about this case study. Prabith?
Absolutely. No, thanks, Prashant. Thanks for sharing those really invaluable insights. And I think somewhere you had that golden reward against one of those case studies, which actually fetched Nihilent the partner of the year award at Microsoft Inspire last year. So yeah, absolutely wonderful, and just sharing and imparting some useful insights. This particular case study, talks about an educational institution, and we all acknowledge, schools, the role that they actually play. This educational institute was founded by two entrepreneurs way back in 2012. And the school uses a blended learning model with adaptive software and individualized learning to accelerate the entire learning process. Now, while the school had a good presence, 20-odd schools in the first 5 years of formation, they wanted to embark on a massive growth strategy. Now, as part of the the growth strategy, they had certain key objectives in which they want to keep in mind, like student pipeline, improving student achievements, retaining students to the school, understanding consumer and customer behavior economics, understanding student behavior, improving the staff to the teacher efficiency and professional development, talent recognition, and reducing the business risk, and overall maintaining a compliance with the regulatory requirements. So if you look at the key principles, touching upon some very key elements that we mentioned, while we kind of like embarked on this journey at this particular client, to start with talking about some challenges, we obviously founded that their core systems, be it the CRM or the financials or the sales and marketing or school systems, obviously there were some inherent gaps, which kind of like limited what Prashant talked about, a seamless integration, which obviously had its cascading effect on how data was stored, data was accessed, and data was actually utilized for business purposes. So the need of the hour was to actually build a very, very concrete and very foolproof foundation on which data, and then the whole journey that the data was going could be tracked and monitored and could be used for building very useful insights. Now, in terms of the solution, you see what we built was with a lot of rigor. We actually started engaging with the stakeholders, and with a lot of rigor and a very carefully crafted approach, we unpacked the KPIs, right? So important to start from there and unpacked it to various data elements, which were then mapped. So building the whole master data management and metadata management around it. And since the data was actually stored on various heterogeneous standard and non-standard heterogeneous sources, we had to actually bring all of them and under one umbrella. And using various Microsoft Azure solution, including the Azure cloud-based ELT methodology, modern BI architecture, which includes Azure Data Factory, Azure Blob Storage, and finally the data was actually moved to Azure SQL databases. And using Power BI, touching upon a very, very critical element that Prashant also shared in his presentation, was to talk about how we enable self-service BI for users. So something which was of paramount importance to make it really successful, to ensure that stakeholders across various stratas or hierarchies within the organization could tap into the data and could generate useful insights. So definitely going by the key aspects of the principles around around data acquisition processing, metadata management, and data quality, we were able to build this this foundation on the back of which this particular organization could extract useful insights from the day-to-day data that they were actually capturing, across the entire student life cycle, across the entire tutor life cycle, as well as the school's life cycle for that matter. Yeah. So with that, I'll hand it over to Caitlin. Caitlin, if you could run the second poll, and we would love to actually hear from you that on the back of those key data principles, data disciplines that Prashant shared, we would love you to kind of like at least tick on or basically share what you think are the two focus areas that your organization should definitely prioritize when it comes to data discipline. And if I can just read it for you, the first one is data acquisition at a fast pace, or is it metadata management and data cataloging, or is it about data quality and master data management, data security and access control, or data lineage? So yeah, Caitlin, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Prabith. As you can see, we are looking for two answers on what you think your organization is going to focus on priority. After listening to Prashant and Prabith in their presentation, we just kind of want to get an idea of where your organization is going for. Awesome. We're seeing some good answers rolling in. A few more seconds while I see some of you are finishing up your selections. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much. And with that, I will hand it back to Prashant to close us out with a summary.
Yes, thanks, Caitlin. Thanks everyone for actually taking part in the poll. And just to summarize what we said today, right? So I think three important points, and I think analytics and BI, they require seamless integration for the simple fact that these platforms, they too tend to become complex, and therefore the architectural expertise is required here, and there are some diverse skill sets that are required to build these platforms. The second important summary point I would say is that the platform should have agility, because the businesses are continuously going to evolve and they're going to come up with different requirements. And therefore, I think we should look at these data platforms not as IT projects, but as constantly evolving business strategy. And the third important point is the data architecture. We should allow people to do self-service BI and analytics, so that the platform owner or the data or the IT owner should be responsible for providing the platform, and the consumers of the data can actually use the data for the various purposes that they need by using self-service. So I think these three are the key important points to remember when building a data platform for analytics and BI. So with this, I hand it over to Prabith if Prabith has any points to say, or we are actually open to the questions as well. Caitlin, would you please let us know if there are any questions?
Yes, of course. We have a few in the queue. Again, for a reminder, if you have a question to ask us, please enter it into the questions pane in the menu bar on the right-hand side. The first question is it required to build the 6 data capabilities up front before building the BI and analytics platform?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it's a good question. In the sense that do you really have to start building the 6 disciplines right away? And I think probably not. You don't probably have to start immediately, but I think you should pick one which you should prioritize and pick 1 or 2 which are important for the kind of analytics that you are trying to build. So, for example, if master data management is very important and you don't have currently any master list, then probably that is something that should be taken care of. Or if your analytics is dependent on capturing the data very quickly in real time or near real time, then acquisition of fast acquisition of data and processing of data, that becomes important. So actually picking 2 or 3 important ones and start building them while you are building a data platform, that would make sense. If we try to do all 6, then our energies might get distributed, we might get distracted, and that might also not help if we try to do all the 6 in parallel at the same time. So if the scale is large, it's better to pick the top most important 2 or 3, build those, and then after we are comfortable with that, then take the next 2 or 3 and build it in that fashion.
Great, thank you so much. The next question we have is, are there tools that can centrally manage aspects like metadata, data quality, data lineage across various components of the big data platform?
There are some tools that allow you to do that, but we don't have tools across all those things that you talked about, right? So, for example, if I take metadata, so there are some good industry tools that are which are available for metadata capture and catalog, for the catalog processing. But if you look at for example, data lineage, right? So you won't find a tool that will actually allow you to do data lineage across all the different components of a big data platform. So it's a mix. So for some areas you will find good tools. For some areas we have to do a custom solution to do that, and it also depends on the scale as well.
Great, thank you so much. Next question. Are tools absolutely needed for providing capabilities like self-service BI or self-service analytics?
Yes, actually, see, if we want to do self-service BI and self-service analytics should not be looked from a tools angle, in my view. So there are a lot of things that will allow the end user to do a self-service. Of course, some tools allow you. For example, if you go to visualization tools, they will allow you for the end user to create reports on their own. So that's a good thing. But there are many other things, right? So for example, just reporting is not the end use of a BI platform. You are going to need data in different formats. You're going to need data marts. So creating a data mart for the users and then allowing them to do analytics on the data mart, that is also a form of self-service analytics or self-service BI. So it's a mix. So looking at it from a tool perspective is probably not the right approach to it. Yes, use the tools wherever possible and wherever they are available. But in most cases, it's going to be a mix of a lot of things, like providing data sets, ready-made transform data sets to the end user, or providing data marts to the end user. So that is also allowing them, to do self-service analytics.
Great, thank you so much. That was the last question in our queue. If you guys have any other questions later on, there are the email contacts in the screen below. And Prabith, I will hand it over to you to talk about the free ideation workshop.
Sure. Thank you so much, Caitlin, and thanks, Prashant. Some very interesting questions, and I believe a lot of the audiences might have many other questions for that matter. Exactly, this is the purpose of conducting such webinars, is to create that thought process, create that ideation. We are more than happy to engage with with you in case you see the need for engaging with practitioners who could come and who could take a very independent, unbiased view, hear you, listen to you, bring the experience on the table, and kind of like jointly work out a roadmap that definitely talks about those key data disciplines, but at the end of the day is able to deliver a roadmap that is able to help you extract insights out of data. Again, going back to what we started with, data that is not just captured within your organization, but outside your organizations as well. So with that, that's the offer on the slide, to say if you have got any questions, queries, or you feel like jointly ideating, by all means feel free to reach out to us, and we are more than happy to engage with you and deliberate with you, and possibly come together and jointly roadmap. Yeah, so Caitlin, that's all from my side. Yeah.
Fantastic. Again, I want to thank Prabith and Prashant for your time today and your great insights. And thank you everybody for joining us today on this webinar around big data. Have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Stay safe.